Happy Sunday, everyone. As some of you may know me, my name is Xanaris, or you can call me Papa Bear in the Discord, or if you do actually know me, my name is Daniel. Today's Sunday. Before we head on into something wicked, I wanted to take a moment to do something a little bit different. We do a lot of let's play here on Frankly, I Don't Give a Fork, and I have absolutely no skill whatsoever. So, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take a moment. Car Wash Simulator, a game that I've been playing to kind of help relax. It was a game that was gifted to me by one of our wonderful people here in the Discord. And I have a moment and I want you to get something warm, something that makes you feel at home. And we're just going to talk a little bit. We watch me do some power wash. And let's see if I'm able to do this without breaking. Uh, there we go. So while we start, how is everyone? I feel like this past week has been more difficult than usual. I Hey Grim, how are you? We're taking 30 minutes to just kind of give ourselves a moment to just kind of unwind and just go and watch me play this silly game. So, oh, let me lower down the volume. That is, and you guys are gonna laugh because this is literally the full panorama of my skills. I I don't know what I'm doing. Give me 1 second. Audio, there we go. We're just gonna lower that. There we go. So I can still hear all you guys. So for some odd reason, and I don't know why. I'm not sure if you've even watched a play of this game, but it has this weird lore to it, and that there are moments that you get like really spooky, like in this house. If you see these little things there, as you start to clean them, you get a little text message on how they believe it to be a Nokia. And I'm not sure if all of you know what a Nokian is. If you've had a moment to go on supernatural, a Nokian is actually supposedly the language of angels. And there is a gentleman by the name of Keats who tried to go and break that down in a book. Another famous sorcerer that tried to go and talk to angels was L.A. If you guys ever get a moment, we could actually do something wicked about him. Because he called himself the most wickedest man in the world. Not sure if that really applies. He died penniless and addicted to heroin, so that's a whole different thing. But with that, so I have a few questions. Now that we're taking a moment to kind of talk, to relax and play, how was your week? What have you been up? Tell me something that made you laugh during this week that just maybe something that made you smile, something that you thought was a little bit nice. How's my audio going? Is the audio going okay? Oh, audio sounded fine. Thank you guys. Let me know if it needs to be checked up on. I was thinking, I guess I wanted to go and ask all of you the thing that you're doing now, the job that you does it make you happy? Is it something that you saw yourself doing? As a matter of fact, I think my question I have for all of you today, if you could have had the job you wanted as a kid, what would it have been? I personally wanted to be a paleontologist. I was really big into dinosaurs. How it, you know, how back then when I was a little one, I'm not sure if because I'm gonna talk about my age a little bit first, but there was a magazine called Dinosaurs, and if you bought a whole month of it, you got a big binder. You could go and put them all in. Oh, and we had someone that wanted to be a lawyer. Tiba wanted to be a lawyer. Thank God that didn't happen. I wanted to be an Air Force pilot or sailor. You know, I'll go and I'll tell you, fellas, it's one of those things that when you think about it, we think that since we're no longer 12, 20, or anything, or maybe even 18, that we can't do those. That's actually not true. Change can come in the most strangest ways. You can still be a sailor, and who knows? Maybe you could still be a lawyer. Not saying that you would want to be, but maybe that might be something that you might want to look into. Don't have to be a lawyer. You could be a PA. And Grim, if you ever wanted to be a sailor, my man, you could just get yourself a boat and learn, which is kind of weird. Me personally, I enjoyed the job that I do now. I work a lot with people, and I'm an HR rep for a temp company here in Georgia, and I work directly with a very large automotive warehouse and manufacturer here in the United States. And I think the funny thing about that is that for that I did retail. Give me. So I'll read out a comment I just. I was informed I had to do a certain number of push-ups to be in the service. However, my weekend muscle birth didn't allow a lot of time. That's fair. So my question to you, my good friend, what keeps you from getting a boat now? Even if it was just something that you want to use on the weekend, little rinky dinky. Remember, you don't have to have a big old pirate ship to be a sailor. Still do it if it's something that makes you happy. Me personally, the ocean, I'm quite scared of it. If I'm going to be very, very frank with you, scares the bejeebus out of me. You would think growing up by the ocean and growing up in the tropics that it wouldn't, but it really does. My mother, she was famous spiritual worker back home. She practiced Santeria, and she was the daughter of saints of the ocean by the name of Yemaya. And my mother was terrified of her because you see, for us, Yemaya, she loves you so much, she takes her children. So mommy was always afraid that she was going to wind up getting snatched into the ocean. Kind of a scary thought when you go think about it. But religion has always been, I guess, one of those little oddball things. I'm very fascinated. I think that we all kind of go through like these weird little things of switching up thoughts and beliefs and things like that. And I think it's important to do that. I think it's important to kind of reset our mind and to take a moment to go look at the things that we no longer agree with and to ask ourselves why we don't. Boat maintenance can be expensive. I want to have a good place to store it during. Then I want to be a naval sailor thinking about the battleship. That's fair. Who knows? I go on to tell you, I always wanted to be a paleontologist or an archaeologist. And my mother told me that I would die of hunger. So I actually never did it. And it's something I started to think about now as an adult as to go back to. But believe it or not, I feel like if though my desire now. So changing thought we've because hey M told them my audio sure if I should keep on talking. Do I stop? So everybody, believe I'm back. Pretty sure. See, can you hear? Pretty good, actually. I, you're kind of. Oh, let me know if you see me. Mostly wonderful. Oh, look, there were little kitty paws here. Do you know I've done this mission, and I never really see a little kitty paw. You ever thought about what it would be like if you were, like kind of a cat? I hear that that's like the weirdest world. Angel. 20 hours of sleep a day. I can't do it. Even when I wake, I feel like if though day, sure why that is. You know, and I guess one of the things that I get as because what I've noticed Discord actually quite a bit, which makes me very and tell you guys stay awake now because as you get older, you will fall asleep doing the things that you want to do, and it's gonna be funny but getting a full 8 hours sleep is super important. Which is you would go into bed, putting yourself into a little coma. I is anybody reading any good books and thing on? How you think? How about now, everybody? We're gonna lower down. Can you hear me? You know, kill all the. Oh no! Oh, you can hear me now. Wonderful. I think we figured it out, everybody. And I'll be very very honest. Personally, I know a damn computers, and I'm so glad that I have all of you here. Oh, we've ah. You know what? Give us a second. I think it might just be my mic. Do 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 do. Moment. How about now? Can you guys hear me? All right. I think it may have been the sensitivity of my mic, and I think I got it. So tell me, everybody, can you hear me? Hey, thank you for all of your help. Oh, that's okay. You don't have to hear the game. You guys, you're just going to listen to the sounds of my voice, and we'll just go and keep on talking to each other for a few more minutes before we start to go into all the weirdness of something wicked. Talking about something wicked, I I actually wanted to be an actor for a while as well, and when I got a chance to play in Macbeth, for the longest time I never got the part, and it drove me crazy because I kept on telling myself like, I'm good enough. I know what I'm doing. How can I not be placed for this? And I realized it was because whenever I was doing Macbeth, I would actually kind of, how can I put it? It's as if though I would be too loud. And I realized that sometimes I was almost screaming on stage. And it's kind of silly now that you think about it because I do my best to control my voice. But I think I wanted Macbeth to be seen as something bigger than life. But the fact is that there's a subtlety to Macbeth. There's a um, conniving to Macbeth, and there's a different kind of thought pattern to Macbeth that you can't just scream out on. And that's probably the main reason why I never got it. I wonder if I try to do it now, if I could go and pull that off. It's weird how things kind of change when you take a moment to sit and think about them. But hindsight is 2020 anyways. I it's odd as time passes and as I've started to get a little bit older. I think more than anything, I realized how much I like the quiet. I always liked having a lot of noise around me as a kid, and I'm not sure why, to be honest with you. But as I've gotten older, there are moments that I have come to appreciate silence in a way that I can't even explain. And it doesn't need to be complete silence. I love hearing people talk and things like that. But, and I was always one of those kids, never met a stranger. My mother was always afraid that I was going to get kidnapped. I don't blame her because God knows. But it's funny. I don't think I ever found it hard to speak to people. And but I have moments though, oddly. Like before doing this, you guys would go and see me DM and do a whole bunch of stupid voices and be silly. But for some strange reason, whenever I'm doing something like this, I do feel a little silly. I feel a little silly doing it, which is dumb because I'm not screaming in a little goblin voice or anything like that, and you would go and think that that would be the thing that would do it for me. But I think it's because you guys all get a chance to see something a little bit more real about me. You get to go and hear my normal voice and see that I'm actually, for the most part, pretty chill. I think the guys know me pretty well, so I'm not sure if I could just be full of shit, which is possibilities of that too. But like I said, you hit a certain age, and all of a sudden things just become a lot more relaxed. You just don't feel as worried about most things as you used to, or as temperamental about certain things. And I think that's good. Is there something that is worrying anyone at this moment? Something on the back of your minds that has you thinking, wow, this is going to ruin my week? If it is, I want you to take a second and not think on that. There's no reason for you to go and suffer through something twice. And I know that that may sound odd, but that pretty much is what anxiety is. And I think that's kind of the funny part of it, really. that we will suffer through something two, three, five, 8 times in our heads because the anxiety of, is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? And you never allow yourself a moment to, chill. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this too. And also because, before we go and talk about like really wild things and, you know, people hurting other people and people eating other people and all that, I guess just want to take a second to just listen to all of you. And yes, as Tio Will stated, yes, I'm only goblin voice. In my normal life, I'm only screaming and hooting and hollering as a goblin. That's literally, oh, that's also what I do at work. I'm like one of the goblins from Lord of the Rings that were working with the Urukai. It's just like Sauron. Talking about that, I actually fell in love with the second movie again just by watching some of the deleted scenes because the Battle of Helm's Deep makes me so incredibly happy. And it's not gory or anything. It's actually just really well done stuff. And the Urukai are scary. They're big. You feel the immensity of the actions that are happening. And I just love it. I love it. And, when I first saw it, I actually saw it in theaters. And I will sit and watch the extended version of that, happy as a pig in mud without any thought. And I love it. I absolutely, absolutely love it. And and now that I think about it, I actually didn't know that the Urukai were different from the Uruks. The Uruks are actually a different creature, and the goblins are considered a different thing in Tolkien lore as well. Just things that I just find out as I go and I mess around with YouTube and stuff like that. Also, if you guys didn't know it, there are some people who are straight up Tolkien historians, and I was doing some reading. And it seems like if though Stephen Colbert, the comedian news reporter fella, is legit one of the biggest, like hardcore Tolkien fans out there. And I love that. He's such an odd man, and yet he's just over here geeking out and doing all that stuff. And yes, man flesh. It excuse me. It always kind of makes me laugh how we make fun of it now, but I don't know why. But when I was watching it, it like really like scared me almost like since I guess I was younger, but in my mind it was like holy shit, these things are terrifying. But I think that it was one of the things I liked the most about it was that it was these really intimidating like genetic experiments that were coming out of some scary womb looking device, some cocoon thing. But but yeah. Oh, it's actually coming close to 2 o'clock. I'm so glad that we were able to kind of get through our technical difficulties, and this is going to just help us to learn for the next time that we do this. So we are going to go and take a 10-minute break, and then launch into something wicked. And I will see you there. Before we go, take a moment, get yourself something to eat, maybe something to drink, and we will see you in 10 minutes. I'll talk to you all soon, and thank you. Let's
Well, you might find this very sexy, Cheshire. Now look at my organization system. I built an entire house around this room. Everything else is secondary compared to these beautiful boxes, which we haven't built yet. But they will be full treasure for the glory home. I mean, for the meadow home. Not the glory hole, which is a thing in this game. Ah!
Run.
Oh.
Just jump over.
Glorious. Okay, my 3 arrows. Yes. Be on fire. Okay, I'm gonna shoot. Can't shoot at all. Scanning.
Are a dangerous place.
Yeah, it looks so nice, but it's really misleading. Look at those flowers. Those flowers will fuck you up. In theory.
For the first time, it's like Australia, honestly.
Yeah, we're like in the
It's insane. Oh god! It's going, it's wrong. Ah! You want some of this action?
It's like, yeah. If you're lucky, I ran out of stamina. You'd be dead. Watch out when I get stamina. Everyone's gonna be real sad they ran into me. When I catch my breath, get your ass kicked.
Just roll a 26.
No. A 25.
Oh, close.
Jesus Christ.
Did you actually roll a 20? On
A 25. Because chaos has now
It's
begun to reign.
adorable.
Oh god.
It's really.
Well, you might find this very sexy, Cheshire. Look at my organization system. I built an entire house around this room. Ooh, wait. Maha is going to ask them for a festive drink.
The rogue will look at Maha for a moment and then look at Ebenezer. We have.
What do you like to drink in the rain and Windsor at this time of year?
That's the stomach. Beer. I drink beer. Would you like one?
I will take one beer.
Beer for everyone? Beer for everyone?
Oh, I'll take some mulled wine, please.
Eyebrow. Because at this point I know, don't I?
Yeah.
Eyebrow.
It's mulled wine! It's better than beer! I'll
Still
take
there.
some milk and honey. Jeez. Ha.
Hey everybody, my name is Emily and welcome to Math Making Tuesdays. Thank everyone for joining me. Sorry for a bit of a start. We are learning how to transition between our scenes. So with that, I want to thank everyone for coming to Frank.
Okay, that looks pretty good. Now fire up here. Actually, what am I doing? Yeah, that's what I'll do. If I was smart, I would have done one shelf to its fullest and completed it. That way I wouldn't actually have to go and add fire to the second shelf because it would have already been there.
Happy Sunday, everyone. My name is Xanaris, or Daniel if you know me in private circle. I am here today to share with you the wicked thing on our little talking segment of Something Wicked. But first, let's go and say hi to everyone that's here with me today, that they'll be part of the crew. Just to give you a little bit of a mindset. When I do these, I sit down, I do a lot of research, get a whole bunch of scientific articles and things like that, go through a whole bunch of interview things. And the guys don't know anything about it. They know basics of more or less what we're talking about. But any of the reactions that you see are very real and they're very present. And I have with me today my editor, Emily. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good.
And I have one of our players from Legion and from Matanzo Speaks, Francisco. Francisco, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I just want to say real quick, if I sound a little off, a little small apology. I am recovering from a bit of a flu, so my voice might be a tad off today.
No, it is okay. So, let us prick our thumbs for something wicked this way comes. Let's get something good to drink, something to maybe munch on, because today we're talking about cryptids. What is a cryptid exactly? Does anyone have like the actual definition of that? Because it's a little funny.
Actual definition, if I had to take an assumption, I would say a tall tale that's been blown out of proportion, that's been made into super serious monster.
Something like that. It's fun. The funny thing is that, as the Merriam-Webster dictionary states, an animal such as Sasquatch or the Loch Ness monster that has been claimed to exist but never proven to exist, contrary to popular belief. Cryptids don't have to be supernatural, mythical, or even all that strange, though many popular creatures acquire these characteristics as their legends grow. So the funny thing is that cryptids, I want you to kind of think of that one thing that certain cultures are going to talk about, the Thunderbird, the Sasquatch, the Loch Ness Monster. But there's no real proof to it. Tons of legends, witness accounts, things like that. But never anything 100%. But in in that retrospect, we have cryptids that have been proven to be true, like the giant octopus or the giant squid, which was said to be a complete other cryptid until finally it was found out. We have seen bodies of giant squids, we have seen actual footage of giant squids, so we've actually proven the existence of a cryptid. So today I want to go and talk about one of my favorite cryptids. And this is a list of many, but I'm going to speak about a few, and then I'm going to go and hit you with one that you may not really think of as a cryptid, but that is so ingrained in the culture, it is actually part of the constitution of this country. That is how ingrained this cryptid is. But first, let's talk about one of my favorites, Nessie, or the Loch Ness
I love
Monster.
Nessie.
Oh, Nessie. So, Nessie, for those of you who do not know, Nessie is the infamous, famous creature that lives in Loch Ness by Scotland. So, Nessie, actually, in December of 1975, Nessie the Loch Ness Monster was written up in the steam journal Nature, based on underwater photographs and sonar. Co-authors Robert Rines and Sir Peter Scott named the creature Nessitarius rhompopteryx. This basically translates to nest monster with diamond-shaped fins. It was, after all, a Scottish MP who, way back in the same December of 1975, pointed out that Nessitarius rhompopteryx was an anagram of Monster Hoax by Sir Peter S. So the whole thing is, and the reason why they actually gave it a scientific qualification was because there are laws to protect creatures that actually have a scientific qualification. So just in case if they ever stumbled onto Nessie, they couldn't capture it to go and experiment on it. It's one of those things. Just to go and show you how ingrained that is in their culture. But I do have a little bit of good news and bad news. So the whole thing is that Nessie has been around since forever. But one of my favorite legends of it, and supposedly the very first, comes from Saint Columba. The earliest report of the monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the Life of Saint Columba by Ottoman, written in the 16th century. According to Ottoman, writing about a century after the events described, Irish monk Saint Columba was staying in the land of the Picts when his companions, when he encountered local residents burying a man by River Ness. They explained that the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast that mauled him and dragged him on the water. They had tried to rescue him in a boat, but he was killed. Columbus sent a follower, Linguine Mokumin, to swim across the river. The beast approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further, do not touch the man, go back at once." The creature stopped as if been pulled back with ropes and fled, and Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived as a miracle. Which is kind of funny. The Scots seem to have quite a bit of that. There's lots of saints that drive out serpents from their lands and things like that. But waters for the Scottish and for the Irish always have something. Fairies, mer people, unicorns, things like that. But Nessie's a little bit different. Because you see, with Nessie, they actually try to find her. And when I say they try to find her, they try to find her big time. There is the Edward Mountain Expedition 1934, the Loch Ness Phenomenon Investigation Bureau from 1962 to 1972, a sonar study that was done from 1967 to 1968, the Robert Rhine studies from 1972, 1975, 2001, and 2008, Operation Deep Scan in 1987, searching for the Loch Ness Monster, which is a big television thing that they did in 2003. But the one I'm going to talk to you about is the DNA survey from 2018. And the reason why I want to talk about that one is because science is a funny thing. And everyone's been trying to figure out what the hell, Nessie is. But sadly, the picture that was placed, or the surgeon's picture of the Loch Ness monster, has been found out to be a fake.
Yeah.
That was a toy that was photographed. But in the DNA survey, an international team consisting of researchers from the University of Otago, Copenhagen, Hull, and the Highlands did a DNA survey of the lake in June 2018, looking for anything unusual. The results were published in 2019, and this is where it gets kind of sad. There are no DNA of large fish such as sharks, sturgeons, and catfish. There were no otter or seal DNA either, but there was a lot of eel DNA. The leader of the study, Professor Neil Gaiman of the University of Otago, said he could not rule out the possibility of eels of extreme size, though none were found, nor were any caught. The other possibility is the sheer amount of eel DNA simply comes from many small eels. No evidence of any reptilian sequences were found. He added, so I think we can be fairly sure there's probably not a giant scaly reptile swimming around in Loch Ness. So as much as I want Nessie to be real, as much as I want her to be able to poof out and become a thing, I think that that might be the actual coffin in the bed of that one.
Yeah.
And also considering that Nessie would have to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. But I think that's kind of the funny thing about cryptids. We're not finding bodies. We're not finding fecal matter. We're not finding a bone record. So, but the funny thing is, in Loch Ness, there's even been signs of the Loch Ness monster crawling out of the Loch Ness and leaving footprints. And that was also a hoax when they found out that it was actually a lampstand with elephant foot that they were using to go and make imprints. So, but one of my favorite urban legends about it was a couple that was driving home, and they saw a creature like the Black Lagoon that they almost supposedly hit with their car, and it scampered off back into the loch. Not saying that that's Nessie, but just to go show you how the thought pattern goes. Now, another one I wanted to go and mention, and this one actually makes me laugh, is the Jersey Devil. Have you guys ever heard of the Jersey Devil?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
So, what do you know about the Jersey Devil? I'm curious.
You first.
Well, there have been reports of this devil-like creature with. God, the descriptions are a bit all over the place, which is part of the funny thing.
They are.
Yes.
There's like a horse head and bat wings, and it just flies across the sky, shrieking.
Screaming its head off, pretty much. It really flies and screams. That is literally what the Jersey Devil does. But there's some legends that the Jersey Devil ate its mother and its family before it escaped from being born.
I also heard that it also has 12 siblings.
There's a rumor of that too. And that's kind of the funny thing about that. So my favorite one that I'll share with you is the one from Leeds Point. Stormy night. Oh, hello, Miguel.
Oh, there goes
you
Miguel.
can come back if you like. By the way, everyone, if you're in the Discord and you would like to ever be part of these, come on in. You can have questions. I'm here to answer any of the weird things that I could possibly can. But I actually got this straight from the website that talks about this legend. It's a real big tourist attraction. So, on a stormy night in 1735, a Quaker woman gave birth to a child during a thunderstorm. The room flickered with candlelight. The wind howled. Some believed her to be a sorceress. The impoverished woman, known as Mother Leeds, was believed to have many other children, as many as 12, adding on to M's little bit of knowledge. Some say the child was born deformed. Some say she cursed the child because of her dire straits. Other accounts say the child was born normal and took odd characteristics later. Characteristics such as an elongated body, winged shoulders, a large horse-like head, cloven feet, and a thick tail. According to legend, the child was confined until it made its escape either out of the cellar door or up out of the chimney. So we got this weird, funky looking thing that most people are beginning to think is actually a very large crane. That was the majority of the sightings, because what people don't realize is that when you put on birds and you go to go see them at night, their eyes will look red because of the muscle membrane that covers it. So there's that. Now, some of the funnier parts of that: Joseph Bonaparte, the brother of Napoleon Bonaparte and former king of Spain, was reported to have seen the devil. The incident took place in Bordentown, New Jersey, while he was game hunting in the nearby woods. The infamous Captain Kidd is reputed to have buried treasure in Banagher Bay. Legend has it he beheaded one of his men to guard forever his buried treasure. Accounts claim the Hellas pirate and the Jersey Devil became friends and were seen in the evenings walking along the Atlantic in nearby marshlands. In Clay, New Jersey, the devil was chased by a posse at the edge of a wooded area. The devil fled into the wood, the posse afraid to pursue. Alden declared, "If you're the devil, rattle your chains." And the funny thing is, the devil's taste varies. He was seen converting at sea with a mermaid in 1870, and he's reputed to have had a ham and egg breakfast with a Republican by the name of Judge French. But the devil is not known to have specific political leanings. So
I'm not sure
I
what the
love
rights for
it.
cryptids are at this moment. I don't think they're very robust.
It's so odd. After the 1909 appearances, the scientific community was asking for possible explanations, right? So people in Philadelphia were just like, what is this damn thing? So, you know, is it something that was like caught up, or like where is it? So the Academy of Natural Sciences of Philadelphia cannot locate any record of a living or dead species resembling the Jersey Devil. The search was on for Superintendent Robert D. Garson of the Philadelphia Zoo and offered a $10,000 reward of the devil's captured. The reward remains uncollected, but is still open. Animal trainers at the Arch Street Museum in Philadelphia had their own idea. For publicity purposes, they created a devil from a kangaroo painted with green stripes, adding on a set of false wings. But the biggest one is, was the creature Sandy Hill crane. Crane stands 4 feet high and is about 15 pounds. It has up to an 80-inch wingspan and can be ferocious when cornered. And if you ever take a picture of it, they have these very long faces and they have the very long legs. So I hate to say it, and as much as I want it to be real, it's probably not. It's probably just a big old silly crane bird. So
I get
there
very
is that.
sad when I learn that cryptids aren't real. Like, it breaks my heart.
Oh,
about
I
that.
know, I know, I know. But you see, I still have hope. I have hope because the giant squid is real. Giant squid is real. That's a real thing.
Yep.
And if you are on a boat, and if you are a pirate or anything like that, and you saw something like that, you would automatically. You're in a 20. Let's go and say, even if you were just in a larger boat, and you saw something swim past you like that, it would terrify you. It would terrify me now. And it's just like, yeah, man. So we also have one of my favorites, the chupacabra.
Ah,
So I'm going to tell you all right now. I was present in Puerto Rico when the chupacabra phenomenon hit.
Second.
And boy, oh boy, was it a big ton of stupid. It really, really was. Like, things got out of hand so fast.
It was pretty much like a pre-internet meme at some point.
And the whole thing of that blood was being sucked out and all this other stuff, because during the same time that this happened, there was also El Vampiro de Moca, or the Moca vampire, which later transformed into the Chupacabra, which falls into the goat sucker, which people see now as a dog and stuff like that. But the original thing looked kind of like a little alien with little spikes on its head. And that's when it became really famous. And there's a reason for that. Yeah, it's not a good one. You see, the reason for that is something else. The reason is actually, and I'm gonna go and open up this little thing.
I'm so sorry.
So, Ooh, I'm sorry?
I'm so sorry. My text message run off. I am sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So the reason why this happened is because of a lady by the name of Madeline Tolentino, who lives in Canovaras, outside of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Give me 1 second.
We're gonna jump to a quick commercial break, or no, he's coming back. Never mind.
So sorry about that. Let us get back into the illusion of things. So, Madeline, this whole thing happened in August of 1995. And Madeline said that she saw it was about 3 to 5 feet high. It had spikes down their back, had either black or red eyes, sort of alien-like. She saw it for a few minutes, it skittered off into the woods, and from that point, the chupacabra was born. The creature was described had 3 fingers, grayish skin, skipped like a kangaroo but had no tail. The local newspaper calling it the chupacabra. So, the bad thing about that is, that was also the same year that the movie Species came out. So, the species alien is pretty much her vision of the chupacabra. It seems that she had seen the movie and it frightened her so much that she saw something similar to it. But I have something to go and talk about that makes. Then I like disproving things to an extent, because what we're really seeing is something that I don't think people are realizing, is that this poor creature's more of evolutionary type thing from Scarcopetus scabies. Causes an itchy rash of scabies in humans. When it goes into dogs, though, it makes mange. Causes an itchy rash as scabies in humans and non-human animals alike. The mite burrows under the skin to its host and secretes eggs and waste material, which trigger inflammation. In humans, it's usually minor, but they can be life-threatening to dogs, coyotes, things like that, because they haven't evolved effective reactions to the infection. That's the reason why when you see a dog that has scabies, they lose all their hair, they become very, very thin, and they're completely covered in what seems to be grayish, scabby skin, which is the reason why all of a sudden we saw tons of chupacabras everywhere besides from Puerto Rico and Texas and things like that, because sadly, it was scabies. And the good thing about that is that there's a little bit of a study here. The University of Michigan speculates that the mite passed from humans to domestic dogs, and then onto coyotes, foxes, and wolves in the wild. Their research suggests that the reason for the dramatically different responses in humans and other primates that they have lived with Scarpatus mites for much of their evolutionary history, while other animals haven't. Primates are the original host. Our evolutionary history with the mites helped to keep scabies in check so it doesn't get out of hand. So in other words, when we have them go onto something that's non-human, they have no idea what they're doing. It literally hits and it destroys the host body. Kind of like the same parasite that is inside of a lot of felines, Toxoplasma gondii. Toxoplasma gondii is a feline parasite that when it infects a human can actually cause fits of schizophrenia, depression. It's the reason why they go and they say that cat scratches can go and cause depression. It's coming from Toxoplasma gondii. It's a parasitical attack that happens to the brain and the brainstem, because the parasite has no idea that it's in a human. So it completely loses its mind and just produces and produces and produces, because remember, it's your big old cat, at least for the parasite. So it's odd for us to kind of look at these types of things, because I hate to say it, the majority of cryptids and things like that, I haven't really seen a good hard case just yet. And on that note, we're gonna go and switch over to the Mothman. The Mothman. So there are a lot of stories about West Virginia's Mothman. What do you guys know about the Mothman? Any? And not the Mothman prophecies. We're not here to go and talk about the book.
I don't know a lot about the Mothman.
Not much. Mostly
No?
what I've seen is the imagery of the of this kind of bat-like figure. Kind of looks like an old timey Prohibition era Batman costume, like wings out like this, is mostly what
Wings
I've
out.
seen.
Or the statue that they made after the movie came out in West Virginia with the thickest pair of booty cheeks I've ever seen on a cryptid in my life. It's absolutely crazy. Hmm. So talking about that, the Mothman. Now everyone goes and says that the first sighting was a couple, and that is actually not true. Newspaper recordings will actually go and tell you that the first sighting of the Mothman was in November of 1966 by grave diggers working in a cemetery in Grenadine, West Virginia, when they spotted a large, man like figure in the trees above their heads. And then it was after that, a few days later, that a young couple in Point Pleasant reported being chased by a large creature with 10-foot wings and eyes that glowed red while driving near a former military munitions site outside town. So it started, and then the hysteria got weird. Because you see, the reason why they talk about the munitions is because during World War II, it was actually a very, very big munitions site. And they also were using it during the Cold War to prepare for nuclear testing and stuff like that. So there was a lot of spooky stuff and everything else. Think of kind of like Area 54. I was gonna say, is it Area? I was gonna say Area 54. It is not Area 54. That is Area 51.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm getting old. So the Mothman. Let me open up that article again. So the Mothman, which that name actually came from a newspaper reporter, oftentimes leaves the witnesses with a deep sense of dread. A lot of people believe that it came from a vacant nuclear power plant outside of Point Pleasant. And the sightings, though, came to an abrupt halt in December of 1967 after a tragedy in Point Pleasant where Silver Bridge, it was a bridge that went across US Route 35 over the Ohio River, collapsed, and it killed 46 people. The thing about that is that after doing some research, it was actually a small little threading that snapped, and by the sheer weight that was on the bridge, had the whole bridge collapse. But people think of the Mothman as a bearer of dread, as this creature that has arrived to go and tell us terrible, terrible things. And that also comes from the Mothman prophecies, which we're not going to get into because that's a whole big old pack of beans there that's going to be something else. But with that, it's the collapse was later attributed to a faulty suspension chain. And in 1975, John Keel wrote the book titled The Mothman Prophecies. And there was also a movie that came out about that as well. Now, the Mothman sightings have decreased significantly, but in 2016, it is believed that there were pictures taken, and the Mothman has also been spotted in Chicago. Because this is the strange thing about stuff like that. They're everywhere. You know, just like Bigfoot.
Sure.
We have Bigfoot legends absolutely everywhere. We have the Yeti, we have the Ape Man, we have what did they go on? They call it. There's another name for it in the Appalachians, but there was a tribe of Indians that called them the Howler Men because supposedly they go hoo, 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 in the middle of the night and things like that. But believe it or not, I'm actually not going to talk about Bigfoot. Oh no. I have something a little bit different for all of you. A surprise.
I'm
that I
surprised that
have.
you're not going to talk about Bigfoot, especially since he's been around since the 1780s.
You know he's been around since the 1780s. Everybody knows Bigfoot. Everybody knows that there's a video about Bigfoot, and then there's all these documentaries, and some people say that they stink, some people say that they're 9 feet tall, other people say that they're 10. You've got videos of them in Russia and all these other things. I actually want to talk.
I find it very interesting, though, that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers made a case on Bigfoot.
Yeah.
They did. They did. They did. And not only did they actually are fighting to go and have him protected by law to not be killed,
Yes.
which is amazing. It's amazing because if anyone that's ever lived in the forest or anyone that's ever lived in a farm like myself, Francisco, stuff like that,
Mhm.
the forest makes noise.
Yeah.
And whenever somebody goes and says, "How can you live there?" you just learn to ignore it. You really do. Like, there literally comes to a moment that you just like, nope, nope. And you try to sleep because you hear these weird moving trees and the wind. The forest can be a very scary place. But the reason why I didn't want to jump into Bigfoot is because I have so much love for Bigfoot, and I want Bigfoot to be real so badly. I want Bigfoot to be real so bad. As a matter of fact, I want to meet a Bigfoot, and I just want to know that it's there. I want to know it's real, and I don't want to tell anybody about it. I want to be able, because I don't want anyone to hunt it. I don't want anyone to capture it. I want the Bigfoot to be free wherever it is. And I know that's not going to happen. And that's kind of my fear about these types of things. Because could you imagine these creatures that have been around for so long, all of a sudden taken, experimented on, cataloged? No. That would be terrible. And I say that as a scientist, I say that as a biologist, that as much as I want to know the truth, I kind of don't want to know the truth about Bigfoot. And so I'm going to suspend my disbelief because Nessie was hard for me to go and take that hit. And I wanted Nessie to be real too. I wanted it to be a dinosaur so bad. I wanted it to be a dinosaur so bad. But the reality of it, it's probably just a big old eel.
Have faith that Bigfoot is in Washington State. That's where they have
You-
last pinpointed him.
Mm. One thing I will go and say, if Bigfoot is real, what do they do if they're dead? That's always been the thing that's got me on that. What do they do if they're dead?
It doesn't really matter what they do if they're dead. It matters what they do with their bones.
I mean, where are you putting all these guys? Because if you've been around for so long, and there's been so many legends about you, what the hell are they doing with your bodies? Now, I will definitely go and say, and I try to stay away from the really spacey stuff, like ancestral aliens, ancient aliens. Well, you know what? Human beings can actually pull off some really cool stuff. The pyramids were not made by aliens. Everybody, I have some sad news for anyone that's listening that does believe that. And I know we may lose a follower too for that statement, but the fact is that no, the Egyptians were really clever folks, and they had a massive group of engineers and slaves to go and get that done. So, but this one, a little bit different. Zombies. You see, for all of you that hear the word zombie, for most of us, we think about the flesh-eating, undead minions that rise up from the grave and they slowly take over the world in an apocalypse. But for different people, the zombie is a soulless husk of a creature, a soul taken by a high priest of voodoo called the Bokor that will take the soul either as punishment or as being paid to do so, which is actually something that happens so often. Article 426 of the Haitian Penal Code states, and this was the thing that actually really had me laughing. Give me one sec, because I will bring it out. Article 246, 246. It's qualified as poisoning. Any attack on the life of a person by the effect of substances which can cause death more or less promptly. However, these substances have been employed or administered, and whatever the consequences therefore of, constitutes as murder. Zombie attacks or forcefully zombifying someone in Haiti is such a terrifying concept. The Haitians have placed it in their penal code to be classified as an attempt to murder.
Now, one thing that I find fascinating, and I can find the article on this and I can post it in the Discord later, but it is so much inbred as part of what they believe that there will be doctors that will administer this medicine that makes them believe that they are dead, that they do not look like they are breathing, that their pulse is so low that you can't feel it, and then they awaken, bury themselves out from the dirt, and truly believe themselves to be a zombie, and then they're enforced in slavery
And
because it's what they believe.
and that's one of the terrifying aspects of it, because the bokor is not causing true death, it causes a death-like state where the person is buried. You have 8 hours to get them before they actually officiate. You dig them out, and you now have this person. The bokor, though, will steal their souls, so they say, and they're going to keep the souls to keep them locked up and tormented. Because you see, the zombie doesn't live forever, not until the body dies completely again. And that really is the terrifying thing of it. But I have some other fun things about this. You see, for those of you who don't know, my mother was a practitioner of Santeria, and we knew some people that practice voodoo and voodoo. There is a difference between voodoo and voodoo. There's a difference between something called Palamayombe, Santeria. There's people that are spiritualists that do not work with the saints. It's a big old thing. But I'm going to share with you, and even though you are not initiated, which is the reason why I won't go into deep details, because neither am I, the ingredients of the supposed Haitian zombie potion. A lot of people get a little confused. They believe it to be toad of the sea or pufferfish, manchinelle, which is the variant of definitely nightshade, the insides of a rat, and Otura stratnorium, also known as thornapple, jimsonweed, or devil's snare. So, remember, the person's still alive. You dig a hole while invoking the person's name, bury it, burn it, and as the more it smokes, the more potent it becomes. And as they use this, as they blow the powder into someone's face, and there's an actual term for that. Coup de poder, the powder strike, is when someone blows the powder into someone's face. It makes the body stink of death. And supposedly, the longer you burn it, the more purpose you put into it, the more that person smells of death, which rapidly makes them want to bury the body. And that's when the Bokor and their men do their wickedness.
It also has these amazing side effects on the body where it will actually turn your eye whites yellow.
And your skin gray. So, and again, as someone who practices Santeria, as someone who is involved in these types of things, there's a little bit of weirdness to it too. Because do I believe that there are zombies? I do. Now, are all cases real? No. No. As a matter of fact, there was a very big documentary done by the English. And I'm not going to go into David Wade's and all that because he's been disproven. But in this documentary, they find these two possible zombies. And they supposedly were both buried alive. So the doctors give them a brain scan to see if there's any asphyxia, to see if there's any brain damage. Brain scans come out okay. But the funny thing is that as they're taking the female to where she was supposedly buried and taken out, they stop at a market. And as they stop at a market, she's supposedly the sister of a man that she had died and come back. When they get to the market, though, her cousins are there. And the cousins is just like, we know who she is. Her name is Fofon. Her name is Fofon. And they're all stopping, like, wait a second. And things almost get violent. And they figure out that Fofon is actually a mentally handicapped woman that escaped from the market and went to the other side of Haiti. And then we have another gentleman by the name of Wilfred, who supposedly was poisoned by his uncle, who's in a secret society of voodoo. And after doing blood testing, they found out that Wilfred, in no possible way, could actually be a blood relative to any of those family members. So no one knows who the hell Wilfred even is. So it's one of those strange things. And so just to go into a little bit of detail, the zombification things can be a little bit different. Some processes use blood and hair from the victims in addition to using voodoo dolls. Others involve a carefully prepared mixture, a coup de poder, or the powder strike. As they say, oh, and forgive me, I always forget, the powder must also be made with human bones, made of mystical herbs, human remains, and animal parts. Administering the mixture can also vary from injection, or even a blow dart. And here we are. Once the mixture has been made by the Bukor and administered to the victim, it starts to takes effect in the body. The victim becomes immobile, has an incredibly faint heartbeat, and his or her breathing is drastically reduced within a few minutes. The victim appears dead. While in this death-resembling state, the victim is fully aware of their surroundings, but cannot express themselves. Once taken to the hospital declared dead, the seemingly lifeless body is buried in a grave. Soon after death, since there is a lack of refrigeration in quite a large part of Haiti. And that is when the Bokor and the grave diggers start to do what they do. Now, you see, and this is the thing that people forget, and this is the thing that people don't add into that zombie process. The Bokor performs an ancient voodoo rite where she or he captures the victim's tibone, which is the part of the soul directly connected to the individual. He or she can do this by capturing within 7 days, immediately following the death of the Kokadeve, which is the body, while it's still hovering over the corpse, by spreading poisons in the form of a cross on the threshold of the victim's doorway. Either way, this affects a split in the spiritual parts of the victim and produces two complementary types of zombies. The spirit zombie, the zombie of the Tibonene alone, and the zombie cadaver, the zombie of the flesh, which is composed of the Name, the Gros Bonnet, and the Zetuli. And then he traps the spirit zombie part of the soul, a zombie astral, in a small clay jar, another commonplace jar. The container is hidden in a secret place known only to the Bukor, and is finally wrapped in a piece of the victim's clothing or some other personal possession. After a day, the Bukor then administers a hallucinogenic mixture called the zombie's cucumber that revives the victim and is used to keep the zombie in a state of submissive confusion. In this state, the zombie cannot speak, has no memory, and no longer resembles its past human personality. As a result, the zombie is easy to control, and the Bukor can use the zombie as a slave of family for farm labor and construction work. The funny thing about that is that there are legends of actual things like this happening. One of the most famous is a man by the name of I always say his name improperly. Forgive me. Give me 1 sec. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Claverius Narcisse. Claverius was supposedly a man that was turned into a zombie, and he was paralyzed. But the thing is, this happened through Wade Davis, which is the reason why I didn't really want to talk about Narcisse. But supposedly Narcisse was made into a zombie, and his Bokor died, so no one was there to continue to give him this zombie cucumber. So he was able to break loose. And he found his family, and his family completely freaked out because he was dead. So you see, the thing is, and this is the thing about this cryptid that is so odd. It's not just the body that is zombified, it is also the soul. The soul is taken, captured, and pulled apart from the body, leaving the body as a completely different thing, as a slave labor. And supposedly, you can break a zombie out of this trance by administering salt. Who knows? Now, when we really come to think of it, is it a brain eating zombie? Is it a zombie crawling out of its grave? Maybe, but not a brain eating one. It's not the scary stuff that you see in the movies and the TV series. But imagine just for a second walking in the streets, getting into an argument with someone, and nothing but a few days later, having a man walk up to you and blowing bone dust in your face, a powder strike that you weren't expecting, and you go numb. You fall to the ground. Everyone knows what it is, and everyone's terrified to even get close. And you die, quote unquote. You're brought over to the hospital. The doctors check you, your family sees you. You can't respond. You can't say no. And then you are brought over to be placed in your casket. You watch your own funeral. You watch your own wake. And then you are buried alive. To only a few hours later be taken by someone for eternal servitude for as long as your body can take it.
What I truly think is horrifying is these people that are administering it, the majority of them truly believe that they have created a zombie. Not that they've poisoned a human being and they have this thing that they've done to them. They truly believe in what they're doing and creating a zombie. And that there is no going back to being a human after this.
Facts be told, imagine being fed nothing but hallucinogenics afterwards as well. The mind will never truly be the same. So when we really come to think about it, they really are creating a zombie. They truly are creating something separated mentally, physically, maybe even spiritually, from who you are as a person. So fact is, are zombies real? Believe it or not, they are. Just not in the way that you think.
There's also the ants that have the fungus that they had take over their hosts. I mean, there is a war going on that's larger than the population of the United States right underneath our feet, and we have no idea.
Ants. Trillions and trillions of ants at war. It's insane.
How truly odd something so incredibly wicked can be real, and only through the wicked actions of others, but also seen as a form of punishment. What could you possibly do that you were so bad in life that you are meant to toil for all eternity? This is a bit of a shiver down your spine, doesn't it? So with that, I end my little tirade on cryptids. Would anyone have anything they would like to add?
You know, it's funny. I actually kind of took it upon myself to find a couple of cryptids of my own right here, since Emily and I recently moved to Pennsylvania. I looked up local Pennsylvania cryptids, and I've got two. These are considerably more fun, less dark, but I think you get a kick out of these.
Please do. We need to
Yes.
have a palate cleanser.
Oh, I'm saving the best for last. I'll put it that way. First off, have you heard of the Dog Man of Pennsylvania?
No,
Yeah.
I have not heard of the Dog Man of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, apparently since the 1880s, there have been reports of man-dog hybrids roaming the woods of Pennsylvania. Now, yeah, some people say that it might be some sort of a werewolf or an unusually large wolf. Some people have described it as an unusually large man with a wolf's head. It's supposed to be very aggressive. People who have seen it have consistently been freaked out and never really confronted the thing properly.
Both are absolutely terrifying. I'll be 100% honest with you.
Now, I haven't found anything solid, but I have a little of my own hypothesis. I'm thinking maybe some of the older sightings might have been some form of Native American ritual involving a dog mask. But I have no sources on that one. That's just a hypothesis of mine.
Sure.
But, like, sightings, I actually have a couple right here. There is a website dedicated to listing Dogman of Pennsylvania sightings.
I love it. I love everything about this. Yes.
Dogmanencounters.com.
We will
Dogmanencounters.com.
We will be sure to put all of our sources Daniel and Francisco's about to talk about in the Something Wicked channel.
Please do.
So this one from 1987, I'm going to read it verbatim. It's not terribly long.
I love it. Go for it.
From an anonymous source. Quote, I was hunting during doe season. In the woods, I parked my truck on a side road in Washington County, but it was right on the border near Greene County. Anyway, I was in a tree stand looking for deer and heard a lot of rustling leaves near me. I then saw this wolf-like thing running up on its hind legs. It stopped for a moment, sniffed the air, and then ran off. I sat in that tree for hours till the sun was high in the sky. Then I cautiously returned to my truck. I gave up hunting after this experience.
I would too, to be honest with you. That sounds terrifying. Oh my gosh.
The most recent sighting of the Dogman, I'm going to paraphrase because this is a longer one. These two women driving through Pennsylvania at night in 2007 and in 2010 claimed that they saw a large wolf-like humanoid creature that's apparently charged, and when the vehicle got close, froze and ran off back into the woods after growling at them.
Dang, these two women got the same encounter twice.
Similar incidences about 3 years apart from each other. And
Maybe they knew each other.
no record of them knowing each other, and apparently both of these were just after midnight.
Dogman's nocturnal, I see.
Oh yes. Well, not necessarily because, well, so far yes. And there's also a film that you can probably find on YouTube. I didn't have the time to dig up an original, but something known as the Gable film.
Gable film.
Yes, where these two documentarians claimed that they found a tape from 1975 of a dogman charging at a film crew, and then it just running off. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Gable film. Hold on. The Gable film is a hoax. The people who made the film came forward saying that they made it on purpose, basically just to kind of see if they could and see how far it would go. But there are still rumors of the Dogman of Pennsylvania.
Oh, it went viral on the internet in 2007.
Yep, it even ended up on a History Channel special.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oh, I wanted that to be real for a second. That sucks.
So yes, the Dogman of Pennsylvania.
The Dogman of Pennsylvania.
You said you had two. That's only one.
Oh yeah, here comes your one. This I saved the best for last. Have you heard of the Squonk?
Oh my God, the squonk!
I'm sorry. What is this thing called? The Squont?
The Squonk. SQUONK.
Oh, okay. What is the Squont?
The best way I could kind of sort of try to describe it is, imagine if the weird love baby of a bulldog and a mole rat. He's a very wrinkly boy.
He's so wrinkly. It's adorable, and then he's leaking all the time.
Oh no, he's not leaking. Apparently, it's harmless, and people have been able to track it down because it is constantly sobbing. So people just follow its tear trail.
Okay, wait. spell this for me one more time.
Okay. SQUONK.
Squonk. Oh no.
And you'll find an image.
Oh no, that's
It's so wrinkly. It's adorable.
Guys, if you have a moment, please Google this thing because we can't show you pictures of it. But that is absolutely apprehensible. What? So what is it supposed to be?
Well, apparently it's some sort of a strange creature that lives in a hemlock forest here in Pennsylvania. And according to this one book, Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods, published 1910 by William T. Cox. I have a quote from the book that I'm about to read aloud. I can just get in close to make my sound qualities okay. The range of the squonk is very limited. Few people outside of Pennsylvania have even heard of the quaint beast, which is said to be fairly common in the hemlock forests of that state. The squonk is of a very retiring disposition, generally traveling about at twilight and dusk. Because of its misfitting skin, which is covered with warts and moles, it is always unhappy. In fact, it is said by people who are best able to judge to be the most morbid of beasts. Hunters who are good at tracking are able to follow the squonk by its tear-stained trail, for the animal weeps constantly when cornered, and escape seems impossible, or when surprised and frightened. It may even dissolve itself in tears. Squonk hunters are most successful on frosty moonlight nights, when tears are shed slowly and the animal dislikes moving about. It may then be heard weeping under the boughs of the dark hemlock trees. One Mr. J.P. Wentling, formerly of Pennsylvania but now of St. Anthony Park, Minnesota, had a disappointing experience with a squonk near Mount Alto. He made a clever capture by mimicking the squonk and inducing it to hop into a sack, in which he was carrying it home, when suddenly the burden lightened and the weeping ceased. Wendling unslung the sack and looked inside. There was nothing but tears and bubbles.
So the squonk, let me see if I got this right. The squonk can literally cry itself into non-existence.
Yeah.
Ah.
It can literally cry itself into a puddle, it seems.
I also just finished reading that its primary method of reproduction is, forgive me, a binary fission, like a cell. I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, here's the thing about the squonk. If when it dies, because I'm assuming it dies, it dissolves into tears, there would be no bones, huh?
But it's so sad. I don't want to chase after something that's gonna cry itself into oblivion. That just makes me sad. No. So thank you so much for sharing those with us today, though. I appreciate the little bit of knowledge about the squonk. So a little bit of a tidbit for all of you. We are still working on Something Wicked, the royal family, which I'm beginning to think may actually be longer than an hour long. It is a lot. So it's one of those things. It is a lot. There's a lot to go on by that. We are also working on some other new ideas and to go and bring some fun stuff to all of you in this little Something Wicked. And as some of you did get a chance to see, I'm taking 30 minutes before we begin to go and do something a little bit relaxing, just maybe go and play something silly. Like today we played Power Wash Simulator and just talked about nothing and everything all at the same time. I want to do this to kind of relax you, to kind of let your mind go into a quiet place before we start.
Before you horrify people.
Oh, we horrify people. which is one of those things, because this way I can actually sneak up on you and really get you. So, but I was thinking, and you guys tell us, would you prefer that to happen before, or would you like it kind of like a palate cleanser for after? And that's something that we can do too.
We will have a survey in the Discord where you can vote either if you want this a little relaxer before or after. So be sure to join our Discord server if you haven't already. and it will be in the Something Wicked channel.
And you guys feel free to go and take your time. Feel free to go and drop us topics. I'm always looking forward to whatever you guys go and think of. And also, if you're ever interested, if there's ever a moment that you would like to be part of this, come on in. And even if you just want to listen, even if you just kind of want to chime in and maybe go and laugh at something silly that we always say, or gasp at something horrible that comes out, feel free to go and do that as well. I want this to be an open forum for all of you to feel free to go and join in and to be part of our community here. And frankly, I don't give a fuck, because we want to be able to reach out and give you guys that consistent, good broadcasting type material. So if you're ever feeling a little froggy and you want to come on and jump in, please feel free to do so. So now that all these wicked things have been spoken about, let us all again one more time prick our thumbs for something wicked this way comes. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for giving us some time here on this Sunday. Have an excellent day, and we'll see you all very soon. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.